Hi, I'm August Keller, and this is my review of Sing Sing. So, I think to summarize it best, Sing Sing is humanizing. It really touches on a lot of things that trace back to humanity. It humanizes the people it's depicting, but it made me as a viewer feel my humanity too. So, the plot is pretty minimal. It's actually almost kind of not important. They have an objective and an external conflict they're trying to achieve, but what's much more important is the drama and the themes that come from the drama. Some ideas that it's dealing with are trauma, systemic oppression, vulnerability, support, and rehabilitation. Um, there are other ideas too, like masculinity and fear of change, but I think those five ideas are really kind of like the progression. Um, and it all kind of derives from serious social issues like, you know, prison and crime and why these things exist and how we deal with them and what it does to people, the prison system. But and while it does definitely put a spotlight on all that, it also feels very universal, very relatable because these people, they feel dehumanized, they feel stuck into a role labeled, and I think that's something that everyone has dealt with at least a little bit. Um, there's a lot of like limiting self beliefs, feeling like they are who they are, and the idea of change is almost impossible. Um, but the movie really shows that people can change and that finding a safe space can do wonders for anyone. Um, so the characters are definitely very important in this story, and they're very distinct. Each one of them, they're very defined. They have exposition, but it all feels very earned and minimal, and comes when viewers are wanting it. The dialogue is very natural. It almost feels like it's improvised. A lot of the dialogue. They all have these internal conflicts that they're dealing with, and they all have arcs too, or the core ones do. And these arcs are very cathartic. They feel like I just really cared about what's going to happen with these people. Um, and despite the script being very dialogue driven, I'm impressed by how the writing really shows rather than tells. Even when it is conveying information through speak, it's not like direct. It's the things they're not saying, the things that they're speaking around. That is really what's being shown. Um, but most importantly, it's the performances. That's what this movie is about. It pretty much, it's the acting is everything the acting can be. It feels, like I said, very spontaneous, very natural. They embody these characters, and it's just this vast range of complex and often very intense emotions. They have chemistry and, like I said, vulnerability. The vulnerability is just so sincere and it's so moving. So yeah, all that is to say that Sing Sing is a very touching story, a very moving story, and it's as moving as it is necessary. It's the kind of movie that a viewer that can change viewers. I feel like I grew watching it, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are people out there that this movie completely shifts how they feel about certain things. Technically, I think Sing Sing is very grounded and very like understated, and that really suits the material. It really lets the drama speak for itself. It just kind of serves the drama, kind of boosts it up with little touches rather than overshadowing it. Uh, for example, the cinematography feels very intimate. There's a lot of tight framing, a lot of natural lighting. It's shot on film, and the composition is very subtle. It uses barriers, but not really in your face, and not necessarily symmetrical. Just very natural looking. Spacing, sometimes a character doesn't have any leading space. Sometimes there's just a absence of a character, just an empty chair that conveys a lot of meaning, and it feels very intimate. Like I said, similarly, the editing feels very immersive, not because it's flashy and in your face, but it's got a very soft touch to it. There's a lot of long takes where we're just kind of there with these people. The pacing is very emotional. It's pretty slow, but also has these bursts of higher pacing because the characters are feeling a lot of intensity. Uh, there's archive footage, which I found really kind of drove everything home. They used actual footage from, um, this movie's based on a true story, so they're using real footage from the story it's based on, and that really is moving all over again. And the structure is very gentle. It almost feels like the movie could feel like it's meandering, but it's just kind of open ended and immersive. So there's not like this firm beginning, middle, and end. There is like a climax, but it's just kind of like flowing and kind of just letting you kind of come along for the ride. It doesn't feel like very theatrical at all. It feels very natural. The sound design is very understated too. It's very just naturalistic again. Not a lot of there's no symbolism or abstract, nothing heightened or emphasized really. It's all very just ambient. But there are a couple key smash cuts that really I think are all the more intense because the sound design is so neutral. And the neutralness of the sound design is always, serving the drama, letting the performances do their thing. But these smash cuts really hit harder. There's, just an envelope hitting the ground or hitting the table. And that envelope is really important. And just starting the shot like that, starting the scene with this smash cut of the envelope hitting the table, just boom, that's a turning point, and the character is completely shifting after that. The music is also very restrained. It's just kind of this atmospheric scoring. It's just kind of like wallpaper, just kind of accenting the mood. There is an end. There's like a closing needle drop, like a song that plays over the end credits in the final few shots of the movie, and that has again more power to it because the music leading up to that had been so minimal that it really kind of feels like this release. The production design is also very authentic. It is just kind of, they shot in prisons, or like these really low key, kind of slightly rundown areas that really kind of depict the harsh reality of prison life. The cast, I think, is also a very interesting attribute to this movie. There's not a lot of fame to it. Colman Domingo is fairly famous, maybe not a star, but he's clearly very talented. But around him are all just real people from this true story. They're people that experience this program that this movie's depicting. They're playing versions of themselves, and that just feels so important. It just drives home the sincerity of this movie. This movie, what the greatest strength of this movie is how honest it is and how genuine. And having these real people play themselves, like they're just being completely honest, and it just really, I think it serves the movie greatly. And the last thing is that there are no effects. I didn't notice any effects at all, and again, that's a positive because the movie feels so grounded, because it feels so sincere. Having no effects makes it feel real. Like it's almost like this movie's almost like crossing into like documentary territory sometimes, and because of the subject matter, I think that's great. So ultimately, I think Sing Sing shows how beauty can blossom in even the most severe of circumstances. And in a way, that beauty is even more beautiful because of what it came from. This movie made me cry at least 3 times. I really did like this movie and I admire it, and I'll definitely be rooting for it come Oscar season. And I recommend it for sure. A firm endorsement. It's definitely in contention for my top 10 of the year. At least in my top 20. And yeah, if you like what I like, then I think you'll like this too. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. If you like what I'm doing here, please feel free to like and subscribe. I also have an Instagram linked in the description, but at the very least, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay, thanks.